Hello, and welcome back to the Utah Tech Leads Leadership Conference. Today we are here with Danielle Wright from JP Morgan. How are you doing today?
I am doing well. You can call me Danny or Danielle, either one works.
Perfect. I'm so used to calling you Danny. I just kind of slipped into it. Yeah, so tell us a little bit about yourself and about JP Morgan and your work, the work that you do.
Great. I just moved here recently in October, but I am a longtime Utahn. I'm back here after spending the last 12 or so years in New York, and I actually moved back here intentionally. My family and I are excited to raise our young daughter here, and a long time ago I went to undergrad out here, so I have a lot of friends and family that have been here for a long time. What was really fascinating to see is when I left Utah over probably about 15 years ago, that's when Silicon Slopes was just getting started, and there started to be all of this focus on tech. And so it's really been nice to see the growth since then from afar. And so I'm excited to be here and be a part of it now and be supporting just the awesome growth that's happening here in the community. I lead JP Morgan Chase Private Bank for Utah and Idaho. And in addition to that, I have the added role of being responsible for how JP Morgan Chase shows up in our communities. So everything from who are the companies we're supporting, who are the organizations we're supporting, how are we thinking about our sponsorship dollars and all of that. So I'm very interested in meeting those who are improving our state and improving our community and are doing the things that JP Morgan Chase also believes in. And then on I guess my day-to-day role, I do work with a number of tech founders or people who work in the tech industry. For us and our business here, that's the majority of clientele that we support, and we help them figure out how to manage their wealth, how to think through managing their companies, how to think through wealth strategy and transferring that on to the next generation. We also do a lot of pre-transaction planning and help these founders get ready for future sales. And I won't name names, but there's many organizations here that we're working very closely with. And so it's just an exciting time to be part of that here in Utah. And so that's me, and that's what I'm all about.
Absolutely. JP Morgan seems to have a hand in a lot of different things that are helping build the community. What are some of the projects or things that you guys are working on that you're most proud of?
So I think, well, there's a lot. One thing I'll mention is I think most people have seen the news. We're so proud and excited to now have Omni under our umbrella at JP Morgan Chase, which is an awesome local company here in Utah, and we're just so excited about what they're doing. And so the reason I mention that is because for JP Morgan Chase, we're trying to get better at providing the resources that our clients need. And so there's this huge need for data and resources within the venture capital space, and a number of these companies end up being tech companies. And so we went down the other week to visit them and are excited just to get them under the JP Morgan Chase umbrella. And we're really excited about the services that they're going to be offering to clients, communities, businesses, all sorts of people who need that type of data and information. Other ways we're getting involved in the community. So for example, our partnership with Utah Tech Leads is a really important one, but we're working with a number of organizations who are working to just improve the business environment here in Utah, because we believe good business is good for everyone. And so we really like to partner with organizations who have a foothold here in Utah and are making progress and making change, so that we don't recreate the wheel, but we can add our resources, whether it's through sponsorships or grants or just being part of the board or being thought leaders. We are very involved that way as well. And JP Morgan as a whole has really emphasized tech for a while, and even our CEO has made so many comments about tech. We invest in ourselves, in our own technology significantly. And so tech is just kind of a part of our ecosystem. And so I've been really excited to see the investment that's going back into tech related to clients, companies, and resources that are available to help tech founders and people who work in tech organizations. So it's just a big part of what we're doing.
Absolutely. So just to get a little personal here,
Mhm.
what are some of the things that, I mean, you've spent a while with JP Morgan, you've had a career for quite some time. What are some of the things that you've kind of learned along the way that help you kind of integrate into a community, especially as someone who used to live here and then has made the choice to come back and raise your family here?
I would answer that by saying leadership to me is leading by example. And I've seen so many great leaders, both within my own organization, but also many organizations that I partner with. There's some leadership qualities I try to emulate, but I also try to be authentic and just be my own form of a leader. I'm very collaborative in my leadership style, and that has helped me integrate into the community here because I really do feel passionate about helping out others in our community. And so a number of the people that I spend time with, as I'm kind of planning out my week and working with different clients and organizations, I do come to the table coming from a place of wanting to help and figure out how I can deploy my resources to add value to what they're doing, how I can amplify the great work that's already being done. And I think that that is very much a part of the community here in Utah. It's one of like collaboration and connection. And I've lived a number of places and I haven't really seen it to this scale, work in a community. So that energizes me. And also as a leader in both in our state and also within my organization, I just get really motivated by bringing everyone to the table and figuring out ways to collaborate and work together. And that's, I think, kind of the signature quality that I like in leadership and that I feel like I emulate myself.
Absolutely. Are there things that you had to learn about yourself along the way, along your professional journey to become this collaborative, or were you just kind of always like that way from the start?
No, I've learned a lot. I've had a long career here. I think the biggest thing I've learned is you can't do it all yourself, obviously, and you got to get comfortable with delegating. And I think, I mean, that goes for any role that you have, whether you're a founder, a CEO, like whatever your role is. But I think that's the beauty of it is once you realize you can't do it all yourself, you have to bring people to the table. You have to operate collaboratively. And I think that makes the job more fun because then you're not doing anything in isolation by yourself. And often you get ideas or feel edified by someone else, coming to the table and bringing their ideas. And I find that if I am working collaboratively with a team, the outcome is much better than what I could have done on my own, even though sometimes my tendency, at least in the past, was to just try and do it all myself and, not bother other people. But yeah, I've definitely learned that. And I've also learned that, especially now, post-COVID, it's really important for people to feel like they can bring their authentic self to work. And I know there's a lot of talk about diversity and inclusion, belonging, all that stuff. I think what it boils down to me is like, am I creating a work environment where people feel like they can bring their authentic self and their best work to the table? And so facilitating an environment that creates that type of behavior, I think is really important as a leader. And I do that through a number of ways. I'm not perfect at it. I've learned how to do it over the years, but I will say that's something that my team here feels strongly about is this is a safe workspace, and we are so much better because of it, because no one feels like they have to hold back something that they could add value in or some authentic thing about themselves. And I love that. That's the most fun part about my job is like seeing everyone's talent, seeing who they truly are. And I think that our outcomes for clients and for all the things we're working on is just much better when that all comes together.
Absolutely. So you manage a team, obviously. How do you and your team kind of stay on top of all of the rapidly changing information?
We're pretty programmed about it. We have a meeting every morning, every single day of the week, where we're connected obviously to New York and to London and to all of the places around the world that are leaders in investments. And we've been meeting, we spend a half hour every morning just going through the markets. We basically digest everything that happened the prior day. And then we think about what does that mean for us and our clients and what do we need to get in front of? What should we be trading? So we try and get smart every morning on that. And I love that because we're local in Utah, we're super local, but we also have this like global network that we get to connect ourselves to. And I feel so much smarter by that. I love knowing, like hearing directly from our head of investments in Asia, like what's going on there, what trades are being done. And so I like being able to hear all of that. We do a lot of reading too. I think most of us are like actively reading research reports and things that are like news articles and things like that. So we're trying to stay on top of what's going on in the market. And then so that's kind of us getting smart on all that information, but then to make it local and figure out how do we apply that locally and what does it mean to our local clients. A number of us on our team, and actually I think most everyone on the team is part of a board or an organization or some kind of group of people that is facilitating business within Utah. And I love being part of those organizations because then we get to do more idea sharing locally. We get to kind of understand like, okay, we know what's going on in the markets. We can understand investments, but what does that mean locally and what does our local economy need and our local clients need? So we kind of tie those two things together. And then like I'm active on LinkedIn, I'm reading people's articles, I'm reading what people are posting. I think that helps me stay on top of everything there. And then majority of our day is calling and talking to our clients and just kind of taking all that information and applying it and making sure that people are making smart decisions, they feel informed. And I think that's really fun because we get to, like, every single day is different. Every single day has a new idea. And I love being able to advise people to help them set themselves up in a good spot and help their businesses and their families succeed.
Absolutely. So what do you think are kind of the biggest issues that tech is going to face in Utah specifically over the next decade or so?
It's interesting. I think what has built Utah has been, like, SaaS obviously has been a huge thing here. I think Utah is the place where we're able to understand how tech can be applied. And I think that's been a strong growth engine for Utah. And as I look at a number of these companies, they're taking maybe an idea that had been done somewhere else, or sorry, taking tech that had been done somewhere else and figuring out a new way to apply it. And I think that's where the future is here. And I was talking to, actually, I've talked to probably a number of people about this, but as we're thinking about AI, and that's the next wave, and everything's going to go there, I think where Utah will succeed is understanding how to take that and make it applicable, meaningful, user-friendly, and like finding new applications to that. So I wouldn't say it's going to be like a major struggle or like unique problem to Utah, but I think obviously we need to evolve as technology evolves. And so I think that's an area of opportunity that I see. And I think Utah is really going to succeed there. I know right now tech is kind of suffering, and I won't say a little, like in some places suffering a lot, some places not. I think this is just a storm we need to weather. And I'm really proud of the people I know who in tech who are weathering the storm, preparing their companies for what we think is coming this year. And also I empathize with those who have, lost jobs and are struggling right now. But I still think it is going to be a very core part of Utah. I think right now it's like a 21 to $25 billion industry in Utah. Like, this is a major economic driver for the state, and certainly those who represent us at the state level and organizations such as Utah Tech Leads and others are helping to make sure that the business environment here can help us continue to make tech kind of our major industry in the state. And I'm really excited when people come visit us from other states and see what's going on here and understand Silicon Slopes. And I think once they see it, they really get excited about it. And it's fun to see when companies want to relocate here. And I've heard of a number of companies that have either come here recently or want to come here. And so I actually see a lot of opportunity here in the future in regards to how tech industry grows.
Yeah, that's one thing that Utah is always a little surprising about, how nimble the business ecosystem is and how quickly it can evolve and change when it needs to be successful. There's a continuance of success here that we've seen over the past 100 years or so that Utah's been willing to grow and pivot and change when they need to. And it's awesome to have JP Morgan be a part of that. So why do you think, why did you decide to support Utah Tech Leads?
So when I first moved here, I kind of made a list of who are the organizations that are making change, that are kind of asking the right questions. And to my earlier point, who are the growth drivers, or who is like improving our business environment for the future. I loved what you're doing here, and I like the connection to legislature. And I thought your approach on certain things is very thoughtful in terms of like bringing the right thought leaders together to make smart decisions that impact everyone. So that's kind of why I'm proud to support the Utah Tech Leads. And also after working with you directly on a few things, I just realized like you, Sunny, and the others that represent Utah Tech Leads have a great pulse on what's going on here and what needs to change and what we should emphasize. And so I really do appreciate the approach that Utah Tech Leads takes. And I think that's something to kind of, I won't pretend that JP Morgan Chase is in here like running all of this. We're just trying to support the organizations that are doing the real work and making sure that you feel supported and have the right things that you need to continue to succeed. And so I like tapping into great work that's being done and just asking like, how can we help? So that's what we've done so far, and I hope to be able to do in the future.
Absolutely. And we really, really appreciate your support. So last question, if you could tell the baby version of you absolutely anything, what would you tell them?
I, hmm, I don't know that I would change much, but I think I would just give the baby version of me a boost of confidence to say, like, go get it. Don't, like, never say no, like, you've got it. And the sky's the limit. I've had a really fun career and it's nowhere near ending. And I think there's so much opportunity out there for young people who are starting their careers. And I think you can do anything you set your mind to. So I would maybe tell my baby version of myself, just like, hang in there, go for the gusto, and you've got it.
Well, thank you so much for being with us today, Danny. We really appreciate your
Thank
time.
you for having me.
Yep, we'll see you soon.
Okay, bye, Liz.